Welcome, everyone, to Philo for Thought's Empowerment Summit. I am introducing today our featured speaker, Demetri Papacostas, who's an adjunct professor of finance at CUNY, as well as past head of marketing specialist group for commodities and risk management at Bloomberg, as well as a board member at HABA, HCHC, IOCC, and the current Parish Council president at St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church and National Shrine, which is based in the World Trade Center Ground Zero area. Welcome, Demetri. Welcome back, I should say.
Good morning, Chris. Pleasure to work with Philo for Thought. It is one of our gems in our community, and you have dedicated a lifetime of service to all our young people, and we are all grateful.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Demetri. What we want to talk about today is basically different means of empowerment that relate to, of self-empowerment that relate to our ability to understand more about economics and our financial situation as a community and also as individuals, how we can work our way past challenges in that area.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great topic, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to discuss it with you. I've had a chance to think a little bit about the topic when you reached out to me, it's not a silver bullet, but I have some ideas in terms of how that might work in business anyway. To me, it just it is very difficult for young people right now to get started. A lot of people finish business schools, business administration, that specific area of specialization. And the truth is, school empowers you to think creatively and empowers you to be able to grow. It doesn't give you the practical skill sets where you can go in and say, hey, I know how to do ABC, hire me for that. And frankly, young people starting out especially don't want to do that. Even in the early stage of your career, you don't want to become the rivet, maker for, an assembly line. You want to find creativity, and you want to be able to grow, because especially as it is today, because you do change a lot of careers. So the element that I sort of distilled it down to for me is curiosity. And I got to tell you, I speak a little bit from current experience, because after leaving Bloomberg, the world is open to me, and I'm very privileged, unlike maybe some young people. Financially, I'm okay. Literally the world is open to me, and it's intimidating. So as a young person, you say, okay, well, I got to get a job. How do I empower myself to do that? And it's got to start, for me, it's got to start with curiosity. Oh, what are they doing? How is that done? And it could be something practical. Oh, how do they make, green steel, something that's very mechanical, if that's your inclination. How is poetry created? How do people write? How does that author write? Curiosity is the very, very first element in whatever your inclination is. And so if you start with curiosity, we are so privileged today to be able to feed that curiosity through the technical media. You cannot tell me a topic, no matter how deep, no matter how complex, no matter how esoteric, that I can't find you 50 videos on YouTube. I can't find you, 10 people that have written extensively on that topic, thoughtfully on that topic. And so once you have that curiosity, I think it naturally will lead, and the energy, I should say, it'll naturally lead to an understanding. Oh, and once you start understanding the topic that you're interested in, sports medicine, take an example, right? So once you start understanding more about it, it becomes self-fulfilling, right? Oh, I kind of know this. Oh, that's interesting. And whether you're talking to your siblings, or you're talking to your parents, or you're talking to your, some random person you meet, you will find that you have in that area a particular expertise. And once you start developing expertise, again, the curiosity will make you, will help you grow. And that might be by taking courses at a college. It might be taking a 6-month, programming course if you want to become a programmer. It might lead to, it'll lead you as long as your curiosity and your energy are there. So from understanding, you develop the expertise. And in that process, that you have empowered yourself tremendously, because what will happen? Oh, you will have access to individuals that you didn't know you had before. Individuals that might be on LinkedIn, individuals that might be, but like I said, the YouTube videos, or you read a paper that's pretty thoughtful. Reach out to that person, that professor, that industry practitioner. You can do that today. You can literally reach out to the highest person in that field. So curiosity led to understanding, led to the expertise, and now you start having access to individuals. And so one of the things, a very practical example, what I tell my students all the time, if you're interested in getting into banking, make sure you're on LinkedIn and you connect with as many of those sites, and the people that have worked will work at those banks. Because when somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Demetri, I know you worked at JP Morgan. I'm interested in trading," I know 10 people that will be able to advise you. They'll be able to give you, potentially even get you in the door to just have the first interview. So the expertise that you developed, even though you think, right, what do I know? You know enough. Will open your world up to the individuals and the organizations that can help you. In other words, you're socializing, you're creating a community for yourself. And I promise you, the community will stay with you for a lifetime. I was just sharing with Chris before our discussion. I was at a climate change meeting on Monday, and I see this woman, and I said, "Well, Amy," I said, her name was Amy. I said, I know you from somewhere. Turns out 23 years ago, we worked on a project together at Chase across the bank. And she's a big shot at climate change, which is something that's tremendous interest to me. 23 years later, haven't said a word to this woman since, and we're having coffee now and working on some new projects. My point is, those contacts that you'll make, that you'll socialize and create a community for yourself, are going to empower you. It could be, and then you ideally, if you're looking for a job, you get a job. The customers, the colleagues, the industry participants, the general public, all of that will become your community. Anyway, I've been speaking for a long time, but it starts with curiosity.
I agree with you. It does start with curiosity, and I like the way that you rolled it out into having the energy, which then combines to the understanding, expertise, and then the access to resources. The idea of that it takes a village to raise a child, or it takes a village to create the professional environment that you want, basically, is great. It's just we have a slight problem with the generation that's currently looking to transition from college into industry. And that's really that a lot of them are lacking the motivation and also I want to say either the courage or the self-confidence to really reach out and create that community for themselves. And so I feel like they're waiting a little bit too much, like they're expecting too much from the college advisor or from the career, instead of going out there on their own, networking on their own, which I know our generation was so important. We had to go out. But what would advice for them to, like, how would they motivate themselves or build their courage to go do this stuff?
Yeah. So one of the things I was talking about, technology empowering you. Technology can cripple you in the following sense. A lot of people I send out 30 resumes a day. That's, every day, 30 resumes. I just go through the sets and send them out. In that sense, technology cripples you. most corporations of any size today, no one looks at your resume. A computer will assess 4 or 5 qualities about you and will make a determination whether you go to the next level or not. So sending out resumes, for example, like that, is to some extent, right? I'm not saying it's a futile activity. So I guess my answer to your question is, don't be fooled by just doing and thinking that you're empowering yourself. It has to be thoughtful. It has to be, I think, very importantly, communal. In other words, people, society, elements are much more important than you ever imagined. And you should feel empowered immediately to know that you have access to it. You may not even know it. A professor that you hit it off with, a professor you didn't hit it off with, but you know what? They know what they're talking about and they can help you. Someone you met, your cousin's third aunt from, your your babysitter's side, whatever. So it needs to be a thoughtful, energy-driven empowerment rather than just spinning your wheels. So that's what I would say, I think, in terms of how I would look at that.
I appreciate that. The last that I think we should look at is there's a trend right now where people tend to self-deprecate as they're introducing themselves, and I see a lot of first impressions, whereas I know our generation, they were telling us always like the first impression is the most important, always, have the strong handshake, do this and this. But I feel that particularly since COVID, that's kind of decreased, and there are a lot more video interviews and video interactions and screen time, which it connects to what you said about technology empowering you or crippling you, not just because of automation, but also this new standard things through the screen. What are your thoughts on that one?
You mean in terms of relying too much on not the physical reaching out?
Not just not physical reaching out. There's a non-physical reaching out, but there's a new standard for connecting with.
I see.
The new generation is getting, I guess, put off by it because they can connect through social media easy enough, but then when it comes time for something like an interview, the courage starts dwindling. They start deprecating.
Yeah.
Gaining of.
It's funny. I see it going two different ways. I have had interviews with people, young people that are like, they walk in and they basically like, I got this, I can run this company. You're privileged to have me here. And I know that either it's in their nature, obviously in their nature, but they've also been coached to come in very confident. And as you say, there are a lot of young people that come in with are much more intimidated, and they'll tell you everything that's that all of their weak points at the start. So I think there's a nice middle ground in between, right? And the thing is this: I think when you're speaking and when you're preparing for an interview or preparing for a conversation, everything you want to say, because you feel I need to share this and I don't know anything. One of two things: don't. People know if you're 25, you're 30 years old, they know you haven't run major corporations. It's okay. So don't feel you have to tell them that. There's just no need for that. If there are elements in the conversation that you need to share, every single conversation, I promise you, can be phrased and oriented in a positive way. So you don't have to say, but I don't know that. Say, I know this, and I understand that the next thing I have to really focus on is why. You don't have to start off by saying, oh, I know you guys do why. I know you guys program in Elixir here. I have no idea. I've never used Elixir. You could start by saying, I'm really good at Python, and I've learned this, and I know it's Elixir is the main thing here, but I can probably pick it up I've done that before, and here's when I've picked up new skill sets in the past. So consciously, again, it takes a bit of forethought. Consciously think about what you want to say, and if you feel it's important to be for transparency to say something that you feel is a weakness, couch it in a positive way, because it's nothing more than how you present it. It's not, you're not lying, you're just simply choosing to say it in a way that is constructive rather than not empowering, to use the topics.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Which will bring me to my last point, really, which is to practice. I think young people need to practice, either go to their advisor or come. We have Philo for Thought mentors and things,
Yes.
practice a little bit, get used to the wording of what you want to say, look a little bit more at your resume before every interview, and just be prepared, and most of all, believe in yourself. So many people don't believe in themselves, or they look at a task and get overwhelmed and think about all the things they can't do, which you said earlier. And that's not the way, really. If you don't believe in yourself, how are strangers going to know that they can believe in you?
Yeah.
The job or the
and that's a very good point. And believing in yourself is not a fake construct, right? You're not making stuff up to say, "Oh, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that." No, that's it. You are a beautiful human being in the image of God and has tremendous potential. So that's where everybody starts. That's what everybody starts. So believe in yourself, because we all have certain skills and inalienable qualities. That's what you should believe in, and whether you don't know, a specific task or specific activity, that's not the believing yourself or not. Believing yourself in you as a human being, and then the rest comes to the forefront.
I agree with you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude for the day?
No, I think it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you. It's a great topic, and I know it's difficult out there to get started, but take a deep breath. Life from that vantage point is very long, and you don't need to figure it out in the next 3 months. Next 3 years is fine.
Now, I want to let everyone listening know we did not rehearse this. This is Demetri. I'm telling you exactly the same thing I told my students yesterday. I told 45 of my students yesterday, just breathe. Everything's going to be fine. Step by step, siga, siga, right? And
that's it.
It's true. So I hope that everyone understands this is actually a real thing. It's not just me saying it to my students. It's
yes, indeed,
reality.
No, I agree with you. Thank you, Chris.
No problem, Dimitri. It's always a pleasure. I hope that in the future we will have another segment on specifically the more environmental factors that you mentioned today. And also, I invite everyone to please visit the St. Nicholas National Shrine, which is conveniently located on the last station of the E train, the World Trade Center station. Okay, and it's
the W.
Sorry, Dimitri, tell me.
The R and the W, and if I may also just say that we have a lot of young people. All the old people are up in Westchester with me, in Long Island and New Jersey, and the very young, 18 to 35, they're all hanging out at St. Nicholas. If you want to be cool, come to St. Nicholas.
Yes, and the artwork is amazing. I went, Costa Uranitsas, who's I think also on the Parish Council, yep, and past president of the National Hellenic Students Association, and also Philo for Thought. He gave a tour last December, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. And our churches at Annunciation and a lot of other places have come as groups to do tours of the shrine. It's just amazing. It's
very unique iconography, because first of all, it was done by the world preeminent iconographer Father Lucas from Mount Athos, but he didn't do it in the traditional. It's a bit darker. It's light, but the uniqueness doesn't end there. The uniqueness is that the icons are a portrait of the space and its mission. What I mean by that is there's an icon of St. Nicholas rescuing souls from the Twin Towers as they're burning. There's an icon of the Panagia Platitera, as it's called, because she's a protectress of the city, over the altar. And New York City, with many of its signature monuments and so on, is portrayed. There's an icon of the Anastasis, if you're familiar with it, was Christ lifting up Adam and Eve with various prophets on the sides. And behind there are first responders. There's male and female firefighters and police officers that gave their lives on 9/11, and we pray for their souls there. So.
I saw it. It's very beautiful. It was very beautiful. It's very moving. And I encourage everyone to go see it if they have not yet done so.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.